Alright, welcome to another edition of Steelhead Slayer's Fly of the Day. Today we're going to tie one of my favorite big fish flies, the Zonker. As you can see, I've got a size 2 4x long streamer hook with some lead tape formed over the shank. We've got this weighted in a form where the hook's going to swim upside down. It's not going to snag up quite as much, at least that's the plan. We're going to cover that. I'm going to use some gray thread here, and we're going to cover this body form with some holographic flexi-cord. The silver color, it's got a black lateral line in it. We're just going to slide that tube over the body form down to where my thread is, and we're going to tie that off right there. I'm going to try to keep the lateral line, I don't know if you could see it in the video, right on our side of the fly. Once we get that secured, we're going to tie it off. And we're going to hit that with a little head cement too, so that doesn't come untied down the road on us. So at this point we can clip our thread there. And hit that with a little head cement. Just make sure it's covered up everything. And at this point, I'm going to take a charcoal rabbit fur strip, and this is going to be the back of the fly. Rabbit fur swims really well in the water without having to move the fly a lot, so this fly has a lot of natural movement. So I want the tail to be a little bit longer than my hook shank, so I'm going to gauge where I want that to sit, and we're going to poke the hook point right through it. Slide it around the bend into place and reattach the hook into the vise. Alright, we've got to keep that out of the way for the time being. And now we've got to reattach our thread. So there's the eye of the hook. Before I make any cuts, I'm going to attach my thread here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this down the middle, and that's going to allow all these fibers to open up. Up a little bit. We can open those right up, and we're going to fold those back to make a throat on this fly. Kind of imitate maybe the pectoral fins of the fly. So we're going to brush them back and downward. We want them to come to rest underneath the fly. And that's going to add a fairly bulky head to this fly, but we're going to finish it off with some mottled eyes. So we're going to need a good sized head to attach those eyes to. So we're going to build up a pretty good base of thread, try to get most of that material covered up with thread wraps. Best we can. Alright. Okay, that looks pretty good. This is a great smelt imitation. I don't know if you're fishing anywhere where there's lots of smelt. This is a great imitation for that. Dyed in this color. I'm going to stretch that piece of rabbit fur forward and tie it off and trim the excess. Cover those thread wraps. The tag of that rabbit hide, we want to cover that up with thread. And we're building quite a bit of bulk here again at the head, but that's okay. We're going to add some neat little eyes to this guy. So I'm going to come right to the eye, and I'm going to make a bunch of wraps going back to where all my materials are tied down. Back and forth here a couple times. Alright, that's looking pretty good. Okay, at this point we can do our half hitches or our whip finish and cut our thread. Sometimes I add a little crystal flash over the rabbit fur wing on this fly, but with the holographic body that picks up a lot of light from a lot of different angles in the water. The fly stands out plenty well just with that alone, so it's not really necessary. So there's your standard zonker. We're going to add some eyes to it. You could paint eyes on. You could leave the eyes out altogether. The fly still works very well as is. I'm going to take some super glue and put it on either side of the head. And then I'm going to attach my eyes. Try to get them to rest right where I want them to stay. And there's your zonker. Again, one of my favorite big fish flies of all time. Tie some up, and you might be amazed what comes out after them. Have fun.